At some point in human life, almost everyone experiences it. A small moment, almost insignificant. A coincidence, something that happens at just the right time. A message that arrives exactly when you were thinking about someone. A song that plays at the exact emotional moment you needed it. A chance encounter that feels too precise to be random. And in that moment, something begins to happen inside the human mind. We start asking a question. Is this just coincidence? Or does it mean something? And without realizing it, we begin searching for meaning inside randomness. Why does the human mind do this? Why do we, in a world full of uncertainty, constantly try to find patterns in events that may have no connection at all? To understand this, we need to go deeper, inside the human brain. A system that does not simply observe reality, but interprets it. The human brain is not designed to see the world exactly as it is. It is designed to understand it. And this small difference changes everything. Because understanding requires meaning, and meaning requires storytelling.
From the earliest stages of human evolution, this ability was essential for survival. In ancient environments, humans who could detect patterns faster were more likely to survive. A sound in the bushes could be wind, or it could be a predator. A moving shadow could be nothing, or it could be danger. In a world filled with uncertainty, the brain adopted a simple rule. It is better to see a pattern that isn't real than to miss a danger that is. This survival mechanism became deeply embedded in the human mind, and it is one of the reasons we still search for meaning in coincidences today. Even though the world has changed, our brain still operates with ancient logic. Every day, we are surrounded by thousands of random events. But the brain does not like randomness. It does not like uncertainty. Because uncertainty feels like loss of control. And the human nervous system is deeply uncomfortable with the feeling of not knowing. So the brain does something remarkable. It tries to organize chaos into order. It connects dots that may or may not be connected. It creates patterns where only randomness exists. It tells a silent story. This must mean something. When someone thinks about a person moments before receiving a message from them, when a song appears on the radio that perfectly matches an emotional state, when numbers or symbols repeat in unexpected ways, the brain becomes highly active. It starts searching. It begins linking events that may have no actual relationship. This ability is called pattern recognition. But there is a problem. The human brain does not always distinguish between real patterns and imagined ones with perfect accuracy. It prefers meaning over randomness, because meaning feels more comfortable than chaos. But pattern recognition is only part of the story. There is something deeper at play: emotion. Humans are not just thinking machines. We are feeling machines. And emotion plays a powerful role in how we interpret coincidences. When an event happens during an emotional moment, the brain assigns it more importance. A coincidence during sadness feels meaningful. A coincidence during hope feels like a sign. A coincidence during confusion feels like guidance. Not because the event itself has changed, but because the emotional state has changed how the brain interprets it. Memory also plays a major role. The human brain does not store all events equally. It strengthens memories that are emotionally charged. This means meaningful coincidences are more likely to be remembered, while ordinary ones fade away. Over time, this creates a distortion. We remember the moments that felt significant, and we forget the countless moments that meant nothing. So it begins to feel like meaningful coincidences happen more often than they actually do. But there is another important layer. Humans have a deep psychological need for meaning. We want to believe that life is not completely random, that events are connected, that things happen for a reason. Because a purely random world feels emotionally cold, unpredictable, even meaningless. So the mind creates structure where none may exist. It builds narratives. It turns coincidence into intention. It transforms randomness into destiny. This is not a flaw, it is a coping mechanism, a way to make uncertainty easier to live with. But there is also something more subtle happening. When someone begins to believe that coincidences have meaning, the brain starts reinforcing that belief. This is called confirmation bias. We begin to notice events that support our interpretation and ignore those that do not. If we believe something is a sign, then any matching coincidence becomes highly noticeable, and anything that contradicts it is dismissed or forgotten. Over time, the belief feels stronger, not because reality has changed, but because attention has become selective. Yet, even with all these explanations, one question remains. Why do certain coincidences still feel so powerful? Why do some moments feel too precise, too aligned, too meaningful to ignore? The answer is not purely logical, because human beings are not purely logical. We live through emotion, memory, and experience. When something meaningful happens at the right time, the brain does not only record the event, it records the feeling attached to it. And feelings reshape memory. A coincidence that happens during an important life moment becomes emotionally amplified. It is stored not as a neutral event, but as a significant one. And when we recall it later, it feels even more meaningful than it did in the moment. This is the nature of human memory. It is not a perfect recorder of reality. It is a storyteller. But there is a final layer beneath everything. Humans are meaning-seeking beings. We do not only want to know what happened, we want to know why it happened. And when no clear explanation exists, the mind creates one. Because uncertainty is harder to accept than a possible meaning. So we tell ourselves stories. We say it was fate. We say it was a sign. We say it was meant to be. Not because we are irrational, but because meaning helps us feel grounded in a world that often feels unpredictable. From a scientific perspective, many events in life truly are random, unconnected, independent, without hidden intention. But from a human perspective, randomness is difficult to live with. So we build bridges between events. We connect moments. We create patterns. We find meaning in coincidence. And in that space between science and perception, human experience lives. Because we are not only observers of reality, we are interpreters of it. And interpretation is where meaning is born. In the end, perhaps the question is not whether coincidences have meaning, but why we feel the need for them to have meaning at all. And the answer may be simple. Because to be human is to search for order, to search for connection, to search for significance in a world that does not always offer clear explanations. And even if the universe is silent, the human mind is not. It keeps speaking. It keeps connecting. It keeps finding patterns, even in places where there may only be coincidence.